Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Biology 2109 syllabus video. So, you are in the Biology Foundations Laboratory. This is a completely online lab. The class is worth 1 credit hour. That 1 credit hour sometimes can be uh, a little bit deceiving uh, because normally in the sciences, I know this is only worth 1 credit hour, um, but normally a 1 credit hour lab is weighted differently than you would think of a 1 credit hour traditional course. 1 credit hour of lab time is usually 3 hours. So, with that being said, you have to keep that in mind when you are actually doing the work that you're required to do, because it's going to take a little bit more than than 1 hour a week to actually get through. So that's just the way that it is. So this is my name. My name's Rick Baisa. I don't have an office number because I work online mostly. So I can meet with you whenever you want online. You just got to get a hold of me and I'll get online. We can talk. So with that being said, my office hours are arranged, but I'm pretty flexible. I can meet with you whenever it is that we need to meet. So this is my phone number. This is my cell. So you can get a hold of me whenever you want on cell. Feel free to send me a text. It's actually probably the best time to get a hold of me, or the best way to get a hold of me is just send me a text message, and that's completely fine. We are in the spring semester, not the fall. There's my email address, and we are using Blackboard. Okay. So this course is designed to go along with Biology 2104. The topics mesh up with that class. Technically, anybody can take this lab, but the topics are going to mesh up with that class. Okay, so if you're not in that class, it might be a little bit more difficult for you, but uh, not really, to tell you the truth. It's just you're going to have to research a little bit of these topics on your own if you haven't had it for a while or something like that. Okay. Let's see. What do we have here that I want to talk about? Computer skills. As long as you can get to the internet and you have Microsoft Word, you will also probably need Excel at some point, but I imagine you could use Google Sheets. But there are some things you are actually going to need Excel for. So when we get to those assignments, you're going to have to make sure that you get to that. But you can probably throw those documents online as well, because Microsoft has their own version of an online suite now, so you can probably do that as well. Theoretically, you're supposed to be in Biology 2104, but I don't really care if you are. You're more than welcome to take this if you are not. So this is a non-majors class. Uh, it counts as your lab course. So here are all of the expected outcomes that you're going to do. I'm not going to go through and read all of these for you. You can have any textbook you want. It's assumed that you have the one for 2104. There is no biology lab textbook that goes along with this. I've actually written all the materials that you're going to do, so that's kind of cool for you. You don't have to pay for that. I remember what it was like to be a college student. I don't necessarily want you to have to do that. So here is our here's what we're going to be doing over the course of the semester. Now, I'm not even saying that we're going to necessarily get all of this stuff done. This is a framework to work from, but we probably will not get everything that's on this thing done. So, for example, we're already off schedule because the dates were put incorrectly that we were supposed to meet. So a lot of people didn't even know that we started last week. So I took this first week and I made it into 2 weeks instead of one. So that's not even due until the end of the second week. The typical assignments are going to be about 25 points a week. If it's a 2 week assignment, normally I give you if it's a 2 week assignment, normally I give you 50 points for it. This first one's an exception just because, the semester's starting and it takes a little bit to get everybody in the class. Some people start late and all that good stuff. Okay. The second week, which is now going to be week 3, is going to be mitosis. This is a typo. I don't know why I have that right there. Then we're going to go into Mendelian genetics, and I got to figure out what we're going to do with this because they got rid of the free software that we used last semester, so I got to find a different way to do Mendelian genetics. So we may combine this into 1 week instead of two. I haven't really decided yet. We'll do a DNA lab where you will extract DNA from a banana. That's always a fun lab. It's very simple and easy. You can do it at home with household chemicals. So we can do an evolution lab. We're going to actually do a couple evolution labs. There's two parts to it. So that is going to have to do with pinto beans. We're going to look at distributions of pinto beans in terms of length and spots and stuff like that. So that's pretty easy. We're going to do some Hardy-Weinberg equations. That's going to take us a couple weeks to do. We will do some 2 weeks. Yeah, that's still the same thing. 2 weeks of Hardy-Weinberg stuff. We're going to do some ecology stuff that we can do online. So 1 week will be the Isle Royale lab. So we'll be looking at populations of moose and wolves on an island in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Then we're going to spend a couple of weeks looking at pill bug labs, and then we'll probably cut out this last part based on figuring out depending on what it is that we get done. Okay, so that's the majority of what we will do for the semester. Okay, so in terms of the work that you're going to be expected to do for these labs, I guess this is a good place to talk about this a little bit. This is obviously a very writing intensive class because you're going to have to explain whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Here's a typical grade scale, 90, 80, 70, 60. We'll talk about it at this part, I guess. So in terms of the writing, group work is obviously encouraged. So you're more than welcome to work with whoever you want, but you're not allowed to hand in the same lab as anyone else. It has to all be in your words. There has to be evidence that you actually understand what it is that you are doing. So with that being said, I know a lot of you, this is a non-majors class and you're not used to writing the way that scientists necessarily write. So for some people, it's a big wake-up call because my philosophy is that I want everyone to do a good job. And I want to make sure that you get a grade that is going to get you through the class and get you something higher than a C. So if you have problems with your paper, usually what I do is I send it back to you. So I'll mark it up, and whatever the problems are, I'll send it back to you, and I will say fix these things. And I won't grade it until it is to a level that I consider acceptable, that I can actually give you a decent grade for. Okay. So in terms of computer problems, everybody has a computer problems. I'm usually pretty flexible, but if you have the same problems week in and week out, then there are going to be consequences. There are actually in the rubric, there are penalties for late work, but I very rarely actually charge the late penalties. But if you test me, I obviously will. In terms of communication, if you're having problems, you need to make sure that you're telling me that. I can't help you if you don't contact me. If you disappear for 3 or 4 weeks and you don't tell me, then there's going to be problems. You're not going to be allowed to make up the work. Okay. In terms of academic honesty, it's the same policies that we have in the student handbook. In terms of incomplete, this is something that I really stand by, this incomplete policy, because what happens is the end of the semester comes along and all of a sudden you hear from someone that you haven't heard from for 7 or 8 weeks. So there is a very strict incomplete policy. So make sure you read the incomplete policy. It's pretty straightforward, and that's about it. So this is our standard student disability statement, and I think that's about it. So that's the syllabus video. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me, text me whenever you want, and I look forward to working with you.